Hello, Money Multipliers. Welcome back to another episode of the Money Multiplier podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Kesler, and we ask ourselves, do our dollars make sense? I know we have a little bit of low quality here on this episode. I'm actually traveling right now, reporting live from Sarasota, Florida. I was on TV this morning, so I don't even know what this makes it. I mean, this is like maybe my eighth or 10th television appearance, but I'm on a little media tour right now promoting my new children's book, The Companion, that I co-authored with Chris Noggle. You can go and snag a copy of The Companion on companionbook.com. And, it's just been more of a passion project. I've been going on these segments, how to talk to your kids about money. And maybe I'll link a little snippet maybe down below, or I'll have my editor put one here. But it's been a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be here until for another day, and then I head up to Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're gonna do another segment up there. So I'm looking forward to the end of this year and even into next year because I'm really redesigning my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about my guests that I have on today's episode. Before I introduce Annie, I want to tell y'all we have the Money Multiplier Mastermind coming up in October, October 9, 10, and 11, Denver, Colorado, baby. So I hope, sorry, I forgot to turn on my do not disturb, but I hope I'm going to be able to see all of y'all there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think this is going to be like the best one I've done yet. This is going to be our sixth live mastermind event. And you can go and snag your tickets, themoneymultiplier.com/mastermind 2025. To be honest with you, you better come out to this one because I don't know if I'm going to do another one next year. Just saying. So I hope to see y'all there. So, as we get into this episode, I want to introduce y'all to Annie Cole. So, Dr. Annie, she's a wealth of knowledge. I think what's really makes her special is just her thoughts around money, not so much strategies, but how are we influenced by money, our life design around money, and just the psychology of money, just to sum it up. So I'm going to bring her on, and she's really helping people do exactly this, taking control of their money, creating a legacy of wealth, and living life on their terms with the clarity, the purpose, real strategy. So, Annie Cole is a wealth strategist and money mentor who developed what she calls the five-step wealth framework, a powerful, practical system that helped countless people go from overwhelmed and reactive to intentional and empowered with their money. So she teaches people that real wealth doesn't start with spreadsheets, it starts with the vision. And from there, she guides clients through everything from income strategy and investing to lifestyle design. And Annie's also very well diverse within side hustles, business finances, and negotiating that next big raise. So, no matter what, where you're at in your financial journey, today's episode is going to be a light of fire underneath your little booty behind. All right, let's bring Annie onto the show. Dr. Annie Cole, it is a wonderful pleasure to have you here on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, now before we get into it, I want you to share with my listeners, how did you get to where you're at now? I know you went through a lot of life changes and you made some pivots. Talk to us about how you got to be an Annie Cole today.
It has been a roller coaster. I will just say that. So, I grew up in this teeny tiny town, was a first gen college student, didn't have big financial dreams for my life. Went off and got my degree. I did everything right. I got the degree, I went to school, I got a job, and was a social worker making $26,000 and quickly realized I loved helping people. It was my passion, but I wasn't going to make enough money to be able to ever buy a home or raise kids or really anything. It was even hard to afford groceries, to be honest, at that point. So I took that time between my 20s and where I am now, 36, to learn everything I could about finances. And there's been tons of really amazing, like eye-opening moments along the way. But between then and now, I was able to reach a vice president role, build this $1 million net worth, and then stopped working so that I could run Money Essentials for Women, which is now a financial resource center where I teach women lots of financial education around the basics of budgeting, saving, debt, retirement, all kinds of good stuff.
Good, good. And you talk a lot about, because I've been doing a lot of research on you, I've been looking up some of your stuff online. You talk a lot about how people just jump straight into the budgeting, or you got to minimize your expenses, or you got to earn more money, but they really skip over the vision. And why, to you, in your perspective, why is it so important to starting this journey with a clear vision?
I probably wouldn't have said that was important years ago. I would have maybe thought that was a little woo-woo, but I will just say after getting multiple degrees in psychology and learning so much about the brain and having real life experiences, you can't do something that you don't believe is possible for yourself. Everything you do every single day is being impacted by who you think you are, how you define yourself, what you think your boundaries are, what you believe you're capable of. If you think you're capable of making $100,000, that's very different than someone who believes they're capable of making $1 million. Or if you think I will forever be stuck at this, whatever this thing is, our beliefs just immensely impact our our actions. So that's why having a vision, creating this really robust vision and mindset on where you want to go, that's going to impact everything. It's going to trickle down into everything you do every day, whether you actually save, if you invest in your retirement accounts, whatever you do, it's going to impact those actions.
Yeah, yeah. Because honestly, I've even been getting into that like myself. I've been getting a lot back into my faith. And I remember like a few weekends ago, the pastor was up there saying, he says, when was the last time that you really paused to think about this life journey? Because a lot of people will go out there and we think we want, oh, I need more money. It's going to solve my problems. Oh, I need more time. I need more resources. But when have we really stopped to pause to think, okay, where am I at right now? And how can I intentionally get myself to where I'm going and just be in this present moment? Because we are always evolving
Yes.
creatures, right? And us
Yeah.
being young women, I mean, that's hard. And I think it comes from experience too, because we'll get lost in the
Hmm.
hustle and bustle every single day.
Yes.
I mean, more importantly, I know that you created this 5-step framework. Just high level, if you can share, what are kind of that 5 steps framework when you're talking one on one with your people?
Yeah. So the 5 steps came out of my own experience, seeing that a lot of people were either they were only focused on getting a job and growing their career, or they were only focused on budgeting and crunching the numbers, trying to save their way to wealth. So the 5 steps starts with vision. So that's creating this really strong vision. And just like you were saying, if you just say, hey, I want to make a ton of money, why do you want to make a ton of money? What do you want to do with that? And realize if you want to make a lot of money, do you want to make a lot of sacrifice to work really hard to make that money? I
Hmm.
mean, it just comes with so much. So, really, a holistic vision of what you want and why you want it. Then, number two, turn that vision into numbers. So, instead of starting with a budget and saying, well, I only make this much, so I can only spend this much, what if you get a little dreamy? Think, I want to live this lifestyle. This is what this lifestyle would actually cost. So, then we have some numbers we can work with. And from there, you can actually start to target number three, which is your income streams. So now you're working completely backwards and you're saying, well, to live that lifestyle, I would want to make this much in income. And therefore, we can create strategies on creating businesses, creating income streams for you. Number four, you're going to want to grow that money because every dollar you make should be working really hard. So we want to be investing it in things like real estate and the stock market. And then number five, we're thinking about sustainability. So how do we make this a lifestyle that isn't just a pipe dream or something you do once? We want to make it sustainable for the rest of your life. So that's just in a nutshell, those 5 steps.
And generational wealth, I was just thinking, do you talk a lot with your clients about that too?
I haven't. I've been thinking a lot about it. I think because I'm someone who's a young woman without kids, I
Hmm.
have not been thinking about it that much. But my husband and I actually, funny enough, we're going to be meeting with someone soon to be thinking more about our estate planning and long-term wealth. And it's something that's been coming up a lot for me because it's just been keeping it on the back burner.
I know, I know. Because I've been thinking about this a lot too. Okay, being 25, 26 next month. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh. When is too early to have like a will and testament?
Never.
About that, you know? Because you never know when your next day, when Jesus calls you home and you're no longer here, what I like to call your graduation date. I just had
Mhm.
this gentleman, he just got hit with a big diagnosis on his health side, and it just really puts things into perspective of, oh my gosh, what is actually really important to me, and where should I be spending my time, my location at, with who I want to be spending it with. But
Absolutely.
anyways, I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so important. And just a quick note for anyone listening, it is never too early. And I would say it's not so much an age as it is an asset value. The moment your assets start getting complicated, as in you own a home, you have money in the bank, you have kids, you have a business, probably the right time to do it, just so that you can make sure it goes to who you want it to go to.
Yes.
That's my thought. Yeah.
And where do you see people getting stuck the most within the 5 steps?
Well, I would say number one, whenever I tell people about this, I don't know a single person that has a very strong financial vision. And I do not say that to criticize anyone. I just say we weren't taught to do that, right? Like we really weren't taught to do that. And then number two, a lot of people hate budgeting because they just think it's boring, it's tedious, or it just highlights all the things that are lacking. Like, oh, I don't make enough income. Oh, my expenses overwhelm me. Oh, I have all this debt. So embracing, I think one of the things I've noticed when I work one-on-one with clients is a lot of times it's emotional. They will create a budget and they'll finally be hit with facing the reality of their finances. The more you can just embrace that in a non-judgmental way, the better. Because I think we just judge ourselves into a place of fear and we avoid a lot of times. We avoid looking in the bank account. We avoid looking at where we're at and thinking about what it would take to get out of it sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. My niece even, so she's 16 years old. I just made her get the Rocket Money app, which I talk a lot about on this podcast show. Just, it's kind of easy. All the automations integrates with your bank accounts, your credit cards and whatnot. And she's like, Hannah, I'm so mad that you made me get this because now I understand how much money I'm spending at Starbucks and Target. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you see that because we're in the inner workings right now with her starting her first policy, which is going to be really cool
Yeah.
because then we'll be 3 generations really deep into this where she's the one actually paying her premiums. But it is, you
Yeah.
have those honest conversations, even with like, for instance, I'm like on a little weight loss journey right now. I have to be honest with myself with the portion sizes. What food am I eating? Cutting out the alcohol, right? Because if you're not honest with yourself, you think, hey, I want to go do that, but then I'm really not going to get there because I'm cheat myself in XYZ areas. So I think
Yep.
having the honest conversations is important.
I think it's important. And I would also say there's probably pitfalls at each step of the way, but also in step three, when we think about income, I just think so many people believe the only way you can have income is by exchanging time for money.
Yeah.
And as you know, there are a million ways to create income. Not only you can exchange time for money, but you can raise your prices, you can work part-time, you can create assets that make you money, you can invest your money and create income off of your investment. So there's just so many other ways. Income is not just time for money. It's almost infinite. Like there's so many things you could do.
No, and that's a perfect segue because what I wanted to ask you is what would your advice be to someone who is looking to increase their income, whether in a 9 to 5 or through a side hustle?
So I would just led a workshop on this last night actually, and there are three levers you can pull when you think about money. So instead of thinking about money as a paper dollar, I want to think you to think about money as a value exchange. So you have something valuable you're going to give to someone else. They have a pain point around that. They have a goal around it. They're like, this person will help me. I will give them my money. That's what happens when money comes into your life. So if you want to create more money, you have these three levers. One is expertise. So the more expertise you have, the more people will want to work with you and give you money because you really know what you're talking about. So that can be years of experience, certifications, etc. Number two is can you guarantee results? Are you good at what you do? Do you know how to do it faster, stronger, better? You have the prototype that people want to work with. And then number three is rare. So how can you make yourself more and more rare? Either you do something not many people do, you have this really unique background that's like this intersection of combining skill sets. So the more you can leverage those three things, you're more likely to get the job that's going to pay a lot of money. you'll probably be successful in business, and you can usually ask for salary increases and land them because people will just see your value there.
Hey, Money Multipliers, just real quick, I wanted to pop in for a second and just remind y'all we have the upcoming live mastermind event happening in Denver, Colorado, October 9, 10, and 11. Because I get it. I know times are so crazy right now, and we need to come together during these uncertain times and learn how to thrive as a community on the you and me level. So I want to see you down there. You can check out more info down below or check out the link, themoneymultiplier.com/mastermind 2025. All right, let's get into the episode.
Yeah, yeah. My mentor always says different is better than better. So I love how you end
Yeah.
with the rare because it is. If you can really, I always struggle with this word, differentiate yourself from peers or the other people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. You can really excel because you're different. Different is better than better, in my opinion. And
Yep.
let's talk side hustles though for a second. And especially like my generation being on the in cusp of Gen Z, you're always seeing the side hustles pop up on the social medias when you're scrolling there. And what are some
Yep.
overlooked or maybe underrated ones that you've seen people succeed with?
Well, first of all, I love side hustles. I am such a side hustle girl. I think also side hustles are a great way to put yourself out there and test something. And I can't tell you how many people start a side hustle and it turns into a business because they realize they're good at something. And, so side hustles are great. One of my favorites is doing online research. I know this is touted all over the place. People will say, go take surveys. I'm not talking take a survey and get $5. I'm saying be a participant in a research study to make like $100 to $300 an hour.
Mm.
That's going to be worth your time. There's lots of great platforms. One of my favorites is called respondent.io. You can sign up for free, you create a profile, and they match you with research studies. There's plenty of other ones. I think there's one called userinterviews.com. Lots of sites. And again, it's free to sign up, and then they'll just send you an invite if you match. So that's a really good one. I think also look at skills that you can offer on a really short-term basis and then set up a profile on something like Fiverr, Upwork, freelancer.com, and then people will just browse and potentially reach out to you. So again, really low time effort on your part. If you do graphic design, if you love creating Canva templates, whatever it is, put yourself out there and then people will find you. So then you'll make a little extra money without a ton of extra effort.
Yeah. One that I was thinking of recently, I was thinking about this because I was talking with a client who's in the home health care industry. And I was talking to him about like my interest, wanting to get into maybe residential assisted living and that whole space of the investment and asset class. But he says, no, no, no. But what I do is I will go in and help these older folks grocery shop.
Mm, yeah.
The health standpoint, he's going in and doing it for the service that they need because maybe they can't drive anymore or they don't want to get out of the house. And so just even those
Yes.
little niches I think are just very fascinating to me.
That's such a good one. Yeah, again, it's finding value, right? It's like where would someone have a problem? How can I go provide value to that? And that's going to get you into so many doors.
Yep, yep. And now one thing though is that when we really get deep into this, and you have probably experienced this, I know I have, but how can people avoid burnout when they are trying to scale their income?
I think there's so many ways to do it, but we need to look beyond the surface. It's not just bubble baths and buying yourself new chapstick or coffee or something. I know we see that a lot online. True, I have experienced burnout from being a social worker, and it is, as we all probably know, it's like the mental and physical burnout symptoms. So think about number one, what are your burnout symptoms that you are most likely to fall into? Are you likely to overcommit yourself? So you truly might physically burn out by just too many hours in the day. Mentally, are you likely to maybe give of yourself too much? Like you'll be a peer counselor and give it away for free and you're not asking people to pay you. Or are you really good at what you do at work? So people often add more tasks to your plate and you don't say no. So think about where you're likely to burn out and then try to set up boundaries around that specific area because it really is different for all of us. And then beyond that, really lean into the basics. So, 8 hours of sleep, good nutrition, lots of water, not too much coffee, not too much alcohol. If you literally did those five things, like you would take such good care of your body. And then good social connections, good people giving you like spiritual, emotional encouragement so that you feel good.
Yeah, yeah. And boundaries are hard. Boundaries are something Hannah's still working on, we'll tell you that. And
Hard.
and someone early in their career, how should they think about growth? I know a lot of people, even like myself, like when I started off like working at Cracker Barrel back in the day, I was around a lot of these career waitresses, and they would just be chasing the next promotion. And so, for my people who are really in that corporate world, I mean, how can they grow beyond just having this vision of, okay, I'm going to chase this next promotion?
Yeah. I think it's really important to define success on your own terms and define growth because is it financial growth you're after? Is it professional growth, as in, I want to really become an expert speaker? I want to become a better leader. I want to go from 5 to 30 employees underneath me that I manage. I want to actually become really good at this functional piece in the company. So bring in the pieces that you want to grow in as a person, because again, we want to create this holistic vision that is I'm making good money, but I'm also living this amazing life and I'm impacting the people I want to impact while sharing my gifts. So it's like, how can I pull all of that together to grow in my career? And when you start to pull those pieces together, it will tell you there might be one year where you're leaning more into something that's non-monetary. And then at the same time, like 3 years from now, you want to look for a salary change or you want to go to a different company. So be sure to blend those things so it's not just financial.
Yeah, yeah. And I know it can get overwhelming. And I want to ask on your advice or from your perspective with the people who kind of feel like they're all over the place with their money. What's the first thing that they should get clear on? I mean, is it that vision? Is it, you always hear the, not to be cliche, but hey, write down your perfect day and then align up your lifestyle for that perfect day. What should they really get clear on first?
I like that idea. The perfect day is probably close. I would say two things. One should be writing down your vision, and the perfect day is a great place to start. Things like what am I wearing? What am I doing for work? Or how am I spending my time? How am I moving my body? Who am I with? Yeah, daily activities like journaling, that is really good. But then the second thing you really need to do, I call it a financial audit, but it's just dumping all of your financial stuff in one place. So literally just get a piece of paper, either a spreadsheet or a Google Doc, write down all of your accounts. How much is in those accounts? What are your debts? What are your assets? What's your income? What are some side hustles you want to explore? Like anything related to every single area of finances, dump it all on one page. And that's when you can start pulling apart, okay, this piece is stressing me out. This part I want to focus on this year. It will give you a lot of information and also an emotional presence of how you're feeling about everything.
Yeah, yeah. And it all really comes back to lifestyle. Like my mentor always says, it's not about the money, it's about the lifestyle. And then I hear my dad in the back of my mind saying, when is enough enough? Because sometimes, especially people coming from not having a lot as a child and maybe living in poverty, but then they really did become self-made. I know step five of your framework is lifestyle. And why do you think it's so undervalued in today's society?
I think people don't think beyond the very immediate future. We are trained in our culture to have this immediate gratification. So it's hard to set aside money to invest or to delay gratification through savings or whatever we're going to do financially. That's way harder than going out and getting instant gratification by shopping or living the lifestyle we want now. So lifestyle is about what do you like, how can this be 50, 100 years long of habits and behaviors? How can we build in the rituals, the things that are going to make future you and present you happy? So it's not like delaying, not having a good life now so that you can live a good life later. It's how can I do both in a very balanced, proactive way? Because again, I think we're just looking for like that quick fix. Everyone wants to make more money. They want to win the lottery. But what else? What else do you want for your whole life? Let's start thinking even bigger.
Yeah. And what would your advice be though when people are trying to figure out what is important to them? Because okay, if I want to live for today but also plan for tomorrow, how should I identify what's important at that time?
Well, I think a good financial planner can help you on the finance side. So, for example, let's say you want to retire young. That would be something that a financial planner could literally crunch the numbers for you and say, if you wanted to retire at 45, here is what you would need to invest between now and then. Or, hey, I want to afford this much house. Here's how much I'd need for a down payment and where I'd need my credit score to be. So, those kind of questions, I think you can map out so that you could see, here's what I would look at. And then once you see the map of the numbers, you're bringing that back into your vision and saying, how valuable is that for me? Is it worth living a great lifestyle now that maybe is slightly going to err on the side of putting money aside so that I can have exactly what I want in 5, 10, 20 years?
Uh-huh.
Asking yourself those questions. Also, one of the things I tell people all the time, fall in love with things that are free that make your life super rich. So, like my favorite things that make my life so good, my dog, walks with my husband, cooking. What are the things that light you up that are already a part of your budget or that are free? We don't do enough of that. Like, we don't really lean into creating a good life with stuff that's not just shopping or spending based. And there's a lot we could be doing there. So I would lean into all of that before trying to spend more to make yourself happy. It's usually more sustainable.
Yeah, yeah. Because a big one that I'm thinking of right now is like, when you go out on date nights, like, hey, we don't need to go to this restaurant. We could literally just cook at home. Let's pack a picnic basket. Let's go to the park. Let's do something like that. If we're still going to have a good time, we're still going to be in each other's company, but we're doing it more of a
Yeah.
financially smart and savvy way.
Yeah. And I think so many people think of that and they're like, oh, that's like tired advice. I always hear that, like, don't spend a lot of money or but I don't know, like find the things that are real because I'm not saying, yeah, go like cook at home if you hate cooking at home. That's going to feel fake and probably not helpful. But do you love working out? Would you want to go on beautiful hikes every single Friday and you treat yourself to that? That's the kind of stuff that will make your life feel rich because it's real to you. Like it really is the stuff that makes your life feel good.
How do you know what makes that activity, that item, that thing real to you? I guess is it just you sitting down and just having that honest conversation of, okay, what do I like to do? Like where do I start with that whole list if I'm just trying to figure out, well, what do I like to do?
The day in the life one is great. Another one I've done, it might seem super silly, but literally writing a list of everything you could do. Like I could knit, I could hike a mountain, I could peel a banana, whatever comes to your mind, like things that would make you excited. And I think that should be the indicator. It's like you'll feel an excitement inside yourself, you'll feel this aliveness. At very minimum, you would want to go do it. If
Mhm.
you feel some hesitation of like, I don't really want to do that, don't lean into it. Just
Uh,
let that one go.
uh-huh. What about consistency? Do you see your clients struggle with the consistency?
I think it's hard. The more you have a deep vision, the better your consistency will be. I found that to be true in my own life too. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing and it feels too far off, it's it's going to be really hard to be consistent. But also the more you can automate things and make it flow with how you personally function, like if you get a high off of updating your Google spreadsheet, do your Google spreadsheet. That's going to motivate you. But if that drives you nuts, automate your payments. Like use something that's easy. So do the thing that works for you and the consistency will usually follow.
Yeah, yeah. Andy, what I like really about you is that money is so fascinating to me because there's such a psychology behind it. And that's really what you tap into is just the psychology of money. And I actually did a book review. My listeners know this. I long story short, but the episode got deleted off my laptop, and I was like, I'm not sitting down and re-recording that. But I think sometime the end of this year, I'll re-record that whole book review of The Psychology of Money. But I think that's a very valuable part because a lot of people, they'll find me or they'll see me like on stage teaching about the infinite banking concept. And yes, it's strategy, but most of the time when I'm on these client calls, what I like to call strategy calls, it's more so talking about the habits that they're currently doing in the lifestyle that they want to live, not so much the strategies behind it, which I think is so, so important. And honestly, I think a lot of these financial advisors miss out on that big step because they're just crunching numbers.
Yeah. And it's just not exciting enough because truly, we all have phones, we all have the internet, we all have access to every educational tip out there. Like we could know everything about money if we wanted, and a lot of us don't. Why? Because it doesn't sound fun, it doesn't sound motivating, it sounds complicated, it's intimidating. Those are all mental things. So it's way more mental than it is strategy. Once someone's bought in, they are excited about strategy and they're usually ready to implement it.
Yeah.
And for someone listening, if they wanted to apply just one piece of your framework this week, where should they start?
I would say be in a quiet spot, grab your phone to voice record or a piece of paper, whatever your preference is, and write down where do you want to be in the next year and what is holding you back financially from getting there. Because those two things will help you identify where you are excited and could like lean into your motivation and also some of the things that you could tackle first when it comes to your money. And they could be strategy, they could be mindset related, but I think that'll be a good place to get people going.
Yeah. I would even encourage too, like look at the relationships that you have. Who are the people that I'm surrounding myself with? Are these really the people that who will get me to that next level? I've had to have those honest conversations with myself too. So, Annie, is there something that I did not ask you that you would like to leave with my listeners?
There would be a million things. I would just say anything is possible. I think, again, back to mindset and psychology, you don't even know what you're capable of. None of us know. And so the more we can be open-minded and say, so many people are doing incredible things that started from nothing, I can too. It's all a matter of getting the right mentorship and strategy. Like, just know that that's true. It's true for any of us.
Good, good. And where can people go to connect with you?
The best place is my website. So it's money-essentials.com. Tons of free resources there. We do lots of virtual events, blog content, etc. And then on Instagram, I'm Build Wealth with Annie.
Good, good. I appreciate you for coming on the show. Thank you, girly.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
I told y'all she's pretty freaking cool. If you vibe with me, you'll vibe with Annie. So thank you y'all for being here for another episode. I will be back next week. We are back at it, recording every single week, week after week, having a little fun. And that was a much needed break that I needed. So again, I just appreciate y'all for being here. And if there's any topics, questions, guests that you want me to have onto the show, please reach out to me, podcast at themoneymultiplier.com. So subscribe to the show, rate us 5 stars, leave a comment down below. And I hope to see all of y'all in Denver coming up, themoneymultiplier.com/mastermind 2025. I will see you next week, Money Multipliers. Catch you then. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this content, click right here and it will take you to last week's podcast episode. I will see all of you beautiful money multipliers next week. See you then.